Hi, Miss Anne. It's about 9:15 on Saturday night here in New York, and I'm trying this again. I still have no idea what happened with that other recording that I made the other day. It's like just it doesn't let me download it from YouTube rather. So um, I'm doing this again. I'm gonna go through the same process, but I'm gonna try something a little bit different after I save this video before I upload it to YouTube, and hopefully that will work. So anyway, before I forget, I want to just remember to say good luck on Monday if you're still going to go see that place that you said you were going to in Margate. I hope that works out for you. And I just hope you could find some place suitable and that you're really going to love and, just call home. So I'm really wishing you good luck on Monday and very curious about what you find, what you see. So take lots of pictures and send them, whatever through Facebook as usual. Um, would love to see what you are seeing. So anyway, let's get started. And I'm going to share my screen so you could see. And we're going to go right to your folder here. So I get rid of this stuff down here. So I downloaded the last two pieces that you sent me through Facebook messaging, which is this piece and the next one. That you had put together sort of like a diptych. So I'm not sure if you've worked on these any further after you sent them to me, or if hopefully you started some other smaller things. I know you're in transit, but whatever you're doing, please just keep sending me any updates, either to these pieces that we're going to look at now, or anything that might be new that you've started. So I like the idea of putting them together as a diptych, if that's what you maybe were playing with that idea. I also love the looseness of both of these. I really like the way they're painted. I just like the spontaneity, the feeling of spontaneity with them. So I'm not sure what else you might have planned with these, but I like them in the state that they're in. I also find on this one, the sort of like a large portion of it left is kind of like open space. I kind of like that idea a lot in this piece. I know you have a little bit of it here, but it's more conventional in this particular piece because I think it just feels more like landscapey, where you have much more of the form and the activity going on in like the foreground and in the middle zone, and then you have this sort of open area above, which to me reads like sky space. However, in this one it's not sky space, it's something else. So I like that. I mean, I like whatever it is that it could be. I find the composition interesting. I like this little bit that's coming down from the top. um, so let's see what you do with it. I mean, I feel like I think I remember you saying that you were planning to work on these some more. I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Let me just check real quick. Go back into the messages, our messages back and forth. And you were saying, let's see, right. The Charbon watercolor sets. You'll take better pictures in the morning. Okay, so kind of interesting as a diptych, or just one painting. So that you're not really saying anything more here in terms of whether or not you intended to continue to work on these. So let me know if you have if you've worked on these or not, and if you have, send them along, and I'll review them next time. And also anything new that you may have started. So, like when I look at these last two pieces, right? And then if we go back to, oh, by the way, I also downloaded this gal that you said you own this piece, right? You own this, and you were kind of looking back at it and thinking about how any of your pieces might look larger. I mean, this is a beautiful piece. I think it's gorgeous. I like the color palette to this. I find it a bit unusual. Also very spontaneous in how it feels, although I can see, also a great amount of control with the brush strokes. It does. I mean, it kind of does remind me of some of your work as well. Um, the thing is, we were talking about this the other day in class about universal mind and how many artists, even without being aware of it, they kind of like tap into a similar aesthetic, a similar way of creating a vision, where form and space there are shared visual elements that happen, and as you know, there are a lot of artists now, and we see so much of it on social media, on Instagram or wherever. There's so many artists who work almost in a similar vein. Now, my question is always, how aware are artists of that they're doing that? Like, do they see the similarities? Or if they're quite aware and they like a particular style of another artist's work, and so they kind of semi-consciously emulate that, which is also a possibility. I think it's very tough now to, especially if you're working non-objectively. I think it's a little bit easier if you're working representationally to develop a more unique vision and a unique style. I mean, it does happen, there are plenty of figure painters out there and still life painters, landscape painters who kind of work within a similar style. So it does happen. But I'm always of the mind that when an artist really responds, the visual artist now, okay, which is very specific, when a visual artist responds very directly to how they see the world, and I mean it in terms of like just general observation, like in your surroundings, or how you like perceive, like just with your eyes, like what is it that you're really paying attention to, how acute is your sense of color and texture, and how do you interpret form, and how do you understand space, how do you articulate that, how do you, as the artist, as that person, how do you perceive all of that, and then create something of that within your own mind, within your own imagination, within your own creative impulse. And I think that's really sometimes what I find that's missing with some people's work, is that they don't understand their own the visual phenomenon that happens with their own vision. They don't understand it, really. They haven't taken the time to really understand it. And so that is a question. Next time we talk on a live, next time we do that, I really would like to hear your own understanding of that in terms of your own process of seeing. You, I believe, have done enough work in terms of representational art, working from life. You know how to do that. You know how to make something look like something. So you have a very particular way of seeing, and you happen to have a very acute vision of detail. It's like you're very sensitive to like a lot of complexity, visual complexity, and you do work that into your work. That's just the way you see things, so that is definitely a strong feature of what you do. Let's go back to, but then what happens though, what happens is when your hand gets involved in how you manipulate your materials and the tools that you use and how your relationship with the paint, the kind of paint, the scale that you're working on, the different brushes that you use. I mean, all of these things that are very particular choices for the artist. When all of it comes together, it's a very complicated, the whole process thing is a very complicated phenomenon, where you've got so many things going on, so many moving parts. And then your mind, how your brain works, how you process visual information through the filters of your materials, and also through how your surroundings are affecting you. Meaning, and this because you've been now going through all these stages of traveling, living in different places, the vibe changes, the energy changes, how the climate changes. I mean, all of that stuff, it is part of the processing of information and how it affects the way you actually see things and how you take that in and how you then make something from that. So I think that it's going to be very interesting to see what happens now with you when you find the place, how that will impact your perception. I feel like this piece and whoops, not her, and the other piece, there's I mean, the color choices that you're making. I mean, given the your paint, what you chose to use here, that that Charmin set of watercolors. I mean, that in itself gives you kind of a limited choices, for color. And so as a result, I think, that may be partly why I'm reading these is, there's a kind of vibrancy and saturation to the color that's very, bright and cheerful and up, the warm colors and the kind of color that makes me feel like it's not moody, but it's a very uplifting kind of feeling. So I like that, if that's what was going on. But most importantly here is the sense of spontaneity, because I know that that's something that's important to you, to try to really, integrate more of that into your work down the road. So when I want to go back to the actual folder, so, and when I compared these, because when I did the previous recording, I was looking at, again, some of the previous pieces that we discussed. I mean, there is a consistency, fragmentation of space, complex forms, overlapping one another. I mean, even though with these where you use, we were still talking about how you're going to resolve some of these negative spaces, but even just for what they are at the moment, I mean, just looking at them in this state, there is that consistency of, I mean, it's all you, all of this is coming from you. I mean, there's such a strong thread that runs through everything. Still love this little piece. I mean, this is like such a quirk, but it's so good. But like looking at all of these previous pieces that we talked about, right? This, here we are. I mean, not for nothing, but this piece and this one, there is a very, for me, even though it's structured differently in terms of the geometry of the previous one versus the organic kind of flowing nature of this piece, there is such a strong connection. So you're definitely, even with the uprooting and the traveling and the sort of up and down of your adventures, you're still able to, which is really great. It's hard to do, but you're still able to sort of keep a hold of the essence of your vision, which is very, very good. You didn't send me any specific questions because when I was looking before, when I did the previous video, that's the stuck one, I referred back to your messages, and I didn't get any specific questions that you were asking me. but that's okay. We'll talk again. And of course, you can always not text me, but well, you could text me if you want, but whatever. Just let's keep using the Facebook messaging that seems to be working okay. You can always shoot some questions over. I'll respond as quick as I can to those. I don't think you sent me any emails because I checked. So you didn't send me any follow-up emails. But what I wanted to show you too, which is something that I did also the last time, just because I thought it would be fun for you to see some of the work that some of your former classmates have been working on. Get rid of this and see what their progress has been. Oops, let me go back. Sorry. Oh, not that one. So there's a woman, a new person in the class. Her name is Laura. She's from South America. And she does very detailed work. This is just an example of she's doing this actually as a commission for a friend of hers. She's doing like all these like little still life drawings in colored pencils of different fruits and vegetables, because the friend owns a restaurant and he wanted for her to do a series of these drawings for his restaurant. Anyway, so here she is working on these pears, and she does interesting paintings that really don't look anything like these drawings. I mean, she does very non-objective, large, and I'll try to get some images for next time. I think it's kind of good for you to see what other people are doing, that you can maybe relate to or maybe learn something from. So she does these paintings that are very, very soft, very like monochromatic. She also uses like crushed eggshells and little like stones or pebbles that she glues down. I mean, it's like really kind of funky. If I can grab some images, I can even like send them to you separately through messages or through email. So she has a very, very acute sense of value, because if you look at her work very carefully, and you could sort of see it here, but the way she controls value transition within a range of color is so tight and so, I mean, so like soft, like from one value to the next, her range is amazing. I mean, look at her colored pencils back there. She even has them arranged in like, like from one value to the next or one temperature to the next. I mean, she's really quite interesting. Anyway, I thought it would be fun for you to see that. And I will send you some of her non-objective pieces that are really, they're just like totally, just like almost minimal in terms of color and presentation. And then here's Lena working on this piece, which it'll be the completed piece later on. I'll just pull it up after. I'm just going to scroll through these. And Lena's like is using spray paint now and stencils. So her process has really expanded into incorporating other materials, and tools, basically. So she's not only using the acrylic paint like she was using, in the group of work previous to this. I think you might remember, because it was through the pandemic, and then when we came back to class, and you were still in the class intermittently, but Lena was doing like still the colored pencil drawings that she was doing through COVID, like one a day. I think you might maybe remember those. And then she kind of she kept getting them larger in size. And then she started and then she did a series of monoprints and paintings on paper. And then she moved into paintings on canvas. So she's had a very sort of linear thinking, like logical from one step to the next. But that's the way she thinks. I mean, she's very kind of like in a straight line, kind of her thought process is very reasonable and logical. And then this is a woman, you don't know who she is because she's also new, but I think this painting is so beautiful. It came out of nowhere. It kind of has a Hilma af Klint feeling to it for me. It's an oil painting, and she started like she did this kind of crazy drawing that then evolved into this as the painting. And I just think it's quite beautiful and interesting. So I thought it might be fun for you to see that as well. And oh, and then this woman is from Turkey. This is such a bad photograph, and there are other ones I may have, and I'll dig them up. But she does really interesting, like weird. Um, her paintings are very strange. They're all in acrylic paint, and there's almost like in her work, there's kind of like even like an exotic kind of almost Turkish. I mean, if there's such a thing, but there seems to be a very cultural influence on her that I don't think she was aware of initially until we started really talking about it. But she's kind of starts with this kind of like quasi landscape idea and then evolves it into this like completely other thing. And this is a bad photograph. I mean, I just kind of did it quickly in class one day, but they are really beautiful. She doesn't have a website yet. She's going to try to work on getting a website together. She's actually a lawyer by profession, but she paints, she's trying to get more into painting. And I find her work very fascinating. It's very different. I think I haven't seen very much like what she does. But again, here you can't really tell very much. But just to give you an idea of what she might, what her aesthetic is. And this is Joe T. She's crazy. I mean, she just keeps on piling the paint on. She did I mean, these are large paintings, I think they're 36 by 48. And she just uses rollers and, acrylic paint, and then puts water-based oil over them. And here she did a bunch of taping with electrical tape and then removed the tape. So I know because we talked about this. She is trying to incorporate like a really linear kind of geometric form idea integrated in with this kind of, very loose, very randomly kind of seemingly random, kind of all over paint, very abstract expressionist kind of way of putting the paint down, incorporating this kind of linear geometric form in there. So she's still working. Actually, this is a previous version. I think I have a later stage here to show you. So, but she's very free. She doesn't even care if she has to like cover the whole painting all over again. Like she's like very impulsive, very like, okay, I don't like this. I'm going to just like, she doesn't really think about it. She just does it. And whatever happens, happens. Oh, these are Dorothy's paintings. And she came in one day she said that she had discovered in her studio these little panel, these panel wooden panels to paint on. She's still painting on stretch canvas, but she brought these two little paintings in, and I was like, wow, they're really kind of nice. I really think that I mean, they're really quite beautiful. The one on the left is a bit looser and less defined. The one on the right you can see is just a bit more graphic in terms of the edges being more clear between the shapes and so forth. But it's interesting what happened with her, because do I have it here, her other painting? She's been struggling with the paintings on canvas where, she'll get muddy areas. And it's just because of the way the oil kind of intermixes with wet paint that's already down on the canvas. And sometimes the color gets muddy. The canvas does absorb the paint. Unless you put it on really thick, it doesn't really sit on the surface. It kind of like gets absorbed by whatever is underneath it, including the canvas, the original canvas surface. So, and I do like, she's worked on this painting some more, so it actually has changed a bit, but I do like the looseness of this. But this compared to these, we talked about what happens when you're putting any paint, but particularly oil paint, when you're putting it on a rigid surface that's not an absorbent surface like canvas. The color really does hold up better because it's not being sucked in, by the absorption of the canvas. So she was able to really manipulate this faster, and she got the result of the color a lot quicker. She didn't have to mess with it too much. So I was very excited to see these. I love these these two little panel paintings. She said that she has more panels. She's going to try to work on more of these, but I'm interested to see what happens to her sense of color, because she'll still keep working on the stretched canvas, and I'm just interested to see how working on these panels and her use of color and putting the paint down a certain way, how that will affect her when she's painting on regular stretched canvas. So yeah, so Dorothy's plugging away. Oh, this is the painting of Jyoti's. That was the previous one. I mean, she, whoops, where did it go? Oh, this one. She keeps changing it. So I don't know where it's going. I don't know what to say other than she has an idea of what she wants to do, but it's not, she's just experimenting with the different kinds of paint, putting it down differently with different tools. And now she's got this tape thing going on to create these geometric forms, these linear elements. But I mean, the paint gets really heavy because she's just keeps layering paint on top of paint. So I don't know what's going to happen here. And that's Dorothy again. Let me see. And here's Lena working away on, this is another piece, a newer piece, but the one that she just finished is this one. And I think that it's pretty cool. I do like this a lot. I mean, you can see the spatial stuff going on with the spray paint, the diffused forms, and then the hard geometry of the more graphic elements that are floating above all of this soft. It's quite interesting how the spray paint stuff, I mean, she really manipulated the pattern, the different patterns through with the spray paint. So it doesn't really look like, I mean, it does, I mean, yeah, spray paint, but she's elevated it to another level. It doesn't look like, oh, the obvious spray painted area. She's manipulated it in such a way that it takes on a different presence. So I really think that this piece is very successful, and hopefully you can see, because if you remember her previous work, there is a progression. I mean, with everyone, as long as they keep on working and they sort of keep on exploring their process and understand what it shows them and how they evolve their ideas from that, you can see a progression like all along the way. So I just wanted to throw in some of these just as like a little fun thing to do, to just draw comparisons and also kind of let you see what the others have been working on since you were in that class, so, and they do all remember you very fondly and all interested in what's happening with you. So I kind of keep them very generally informed, not so many specific things, but in any case, I love this piece. I think it's really quite dynamic, quite interesting. So that was it. That was all I wanted to cover. And I want to see more of, I want to see more of your progress when you're ready. I don't mean to do all of that. Sorry. Again, whoops. I got to just do this. Sorry. And then, again, send me questions or in progress shots, just message them over. And most importantly, let me know what happens with where you're going to be, because that really is like the linchpin in everything, because that will determine how you move through everything else. So I think that was all that I had to share with you. I hope this helps. I do. I hope it helps. Trying to think of, because I now, now is a different time compared to when I did the previous video. So now I'm thinking other things that hadn't come to my mind previously. But there are a lot of people doing interesting work. So, you see it yourself, when you are on social media. I mean, the people who you like or feel an affinity for, you do come across, what they're doing. I'm thinking there is an important show coming up soon, and now I can't remember where it's going to be and who the artist is. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. God, I can't stand it. I'm trying to think of something. Okay. All right. So that's how I'm going to wrap this up because I don't want this to go more than 30 minutes, too much more than 30 minutes. I mean, I think I've already gone over a little bit, but I want to really try to keep this tight to the time frame because I don't want to have any trouble again uploading it to YouTube. It does take time. I think it's my computer that maybe is a little slow, but the first one I did wasn't a problem. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do it when I stop recording. I'm just going to immediately do it, and hopefully it'll get done so I could send it to you tonight, later, whenever, within the next hour or so, I hope. All right, Anne. Hope this helps. Let me know. And keep working, keep looking, keep kind of filing away more information in that the brain bank, the visual brain bank. And I hope everything's going well in London or wherever you are thereabouts. So let me know tomorrow, Sunday. So if you have some time, just shoot me a message. And if you've watched the video, and I know you're going to have questions, just send them over and we'll, keep on talking. Okay. All right. I will talk to you soon. And, I've got to stop sharing. Okay. In order to end the video. So take care. Good luck Monday. Watch the video. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts, and we'll just keep on moving. Okay. All right, my dear, take care. Miss you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.